All right, we'll call this meeting of the Sweetwater City Council to order and ask Assistant Chief Corey Stroman to give the invocation this morning, and Councilmember Baker lead us in the pledge.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer today, and we just praise your name. We recognize you as the Creator, and we just thank you so much for the blessings that you bestow upon each of us and upon our community. And just pray that you would be present with this governing body this morning, that you would just speak your will, and that you would bless this time together and continue to bless this community. We thank you so much for pouring the rains out onto our land here recently, and just the cooler weather. Pray that you would just continue to give us the relief from the heat and as much rain as is in your will, Lord. It's these things pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Join in pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we'll move to public input. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? Okay. We'll now hear a presentation from Sweetwater High School DECA students Brody and Mallory Gibson presenting Newman Park Basketball Court Project.
All right, so good morning. We're glad to be back. Glad to be here talking. Just click. There we go. We're glad to be here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about our project that we're hoping to do this year. Last year we obviously did the pool project, so I think a few of you have seen us before and listened to us. Hopefully we're not making you tired or bored, but we're back, and so
we'll be showing you our plans for the covered pavilion basketball courts that we hope to install in Newman. So what is the Pavilion Project? Our project is a community giving project where we're in the works of organizing and building covered basketball courts in Newman Park that can also function as a pavilion. Now, you may be wondering where we're planning on getting these funds. As of right now, we are either getting all of the materials and labor donated, or getting the funds donated to cover these costs. Last year, our goal was to raise $2,500, and this year we've set our sights a little bit higher on a project that's a little bit bigger. So we'll need a lot of help from our community once again. Finally, we hope that the structure can be used by the community for many years to come and become a great gathering place for the people of Sweetwater.
So starting off today, we're going to talk a little bit about why we're doing this project. We're going to talk about what inspired us and the problems that we hope to solve with this potential addition to our community. So first and foremost, currently in Sweetwater, there's not really any adequate basketball courts. There are basketball courts in Fraley, but at this point they're just kind of beat up, not even really level. Asphalt, I don't even know if there's nets on the goals. And so this would hopefully bring that to light. Additionally, there are already few quote-unquote entertainment venues in Sweetwater, and so I know that in talking to our friends or other people that a lot of the time people say, well, there's not a whole lot to do. And so we hope that this basketball court could now provide another place that people could be and expand that scope in the exact same way that the pickleball courts have done, and those have been very successful in these past few years. We also know that in speaking to our friends and peers and adults is that people want to be out in the community. People don't want to be at home doing nothing on their phone watching TV. People want to be out doing stuff, and so this can provide a place that people can gather and be together, and obviously it could function the exact same way as the pickleball courts. And then lastly, we want to leave a lasting impact on our community. And we know that there's going to be a lot of youth coming up through Sweetwater, and we just hope to aid the efforts of improving this community, growing Newman Park the same way that a lot of people here have worked so hard to do.
So currently we have a few ideas on how we're going to accomplish this project. The first step of this project is going to be getting the needed approvals and roughly planning the structure, such as the location, the size, and the materials needed. Now, our next step is to talk to local companies and getting commitments for materials, labor, and or getting donations, and or purchasing these items as needed. The last step of executing this project will be working with construction companies and teams to see the construction of this pavilion through.
The next we want to talk a little bit about the actual plans. Uh-oh. Is that me? Sorry. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so next we're going to show y'all a little bit of our plans for these projects. So right here we have a few 3D models that a guy over at Sweetwater Steel was kind enough to do for us. And so these are just kind of pictures to kind of give you an idea of what this could possibly look like with the slab and the steel structure itself. Obviously the steel structure is going to have sheet metal at the top, so it's not going to be an open roof. But the sides will be open, and so it'll be a little bit more inclusive, but we won't have to worry about air conditioning or electricity majorly that way. So right here we have a satellite image of Sweetwater, and as you can see, the blue lines are water lines that run through our town, and the green lines are sewage lines. So we actually talked to Mr. Stanley before we got up here, and so that yellow box we have right there in the middle is not going to be the actual location. But if we zoom in right here on this next slide, so we can see right below that yellow box is the city pool, and so where we would hope to put this would be just to the left of it, right there over that green line, and so that would provide parking and such. But we talked to Mr. Stanley, the sewage line is deep enough so that the concrete slab won't actually affect it, and it shouldn't be an issue putting that in. Additionally, we want it to be in Newman Park because we know that a lot of people have been working hard to improve Newman Park, and so we just want this to be another part of that. And we want it to be inclusive to where, let's say in the summer, if a kid is done swimming and he wants to go play basketball, he could just walk a couple steps and go play basketball. Or if people were playing pickleball, they got tired of pickleball, they could go play basketball, or vice versa. And so we want this to be municipal so that A, people can use it, but we also want it to be a part of Newman Park as it's growing and getting better and better. Then right here is just another 3D design that Jamie Witt, an engineer at Ludlam's, got for us. And so it's just kind of an idea. This is actually very similar to a pavilion that's out at TSTC, just west of their indoor basketball court and just north of their dorm. So it's kind of real close to a lot of the living facilities. And I've heard that it's been really good. And then here we just kind of have another view of that to give you a better idea. And then right here we have an actual, we have the actual dimensions of this pavilion. And so if you look up in the top right, we can see, it's kind of small, but it's 62 feet wide roughly by 102 feet long, roughly. It can, give or take a few feet or inches. And then if we look down at the bottom, we can see the actual height of it. On the sides will be about 20 feet, and then in the peak of the roof, it will be about 23 feet. And so then on this slide is a little bit more in-depth look at the steel structure itself that will be covering the pavilion. And so this design that we have is 62 feet 4 inches wide by 106 feet 4 inches. And so there's a little bit of room that we can do at this, but pretty much the reason that we have 62 feet by 106 feet is because it would encase a full basketball court and give a little bit of a buffer zone, about 6 feet on all sides of the court, so you're not going up for a layup and falling off a concrete slab. So it helps keep us a little bit safe, and it gives us a little bit more space.
So lastly, we want to talk about the benefits we hope to see coming from this pavilion project. The first major benefit we see coming out of this project is to simply have fully functioning basketball courts that are open to the public. As many of you know, we don't really have any basketball courts, like Brody said. We have a couple at Fraley, but they're beat up asphalt at this point, and most people don't want to use those because they're not necessarily safe. So we want to be able to provide good working basketball courts for our community. The second benefit we see coming from this project is the city being able to turn some profit, renting out the space throughout the year. Whether this be for private parties or more specifically during the Rattlesnake Roundup, to vendors or food trucks that would like to be near the city park. The last benefit we see coming from this project is that essentially the profits will outweigh the minimum costs of the future maintenance that might be produced. So in theory, this structure can preserve itself.
So thank you for listening. We'd love to open up the floor to any questions you might have, and maybe clear up some misconceptions or things that we didn't explain well enough.
So you'd have one court, full length of it?
Yes, sir. So we would have one full-length court, and then similar to how high school gyms function, we're also hoping to put 4 more goals on the long sides of the court to kind of run. They will obviously won't be full length, but they
Right,
will be
sure.
shorter. So
Okay.
six goals in total all the way around.
Good.
Why not just fix the existing basketball courts at Fraley Park?
So that is a really good question. The basketball courts at Fraley are extremely small, I believe. They're about only the size of about a half court. And so it would maybe not be a waste of money, but I would say that we could do a whole lot better by building something new. Plus, Newman Park is kind of the place to be currently. And so with all the new additions, I think that adding to Newman Park will only attract more people rather than dividing something off and putting it somewhere elsewhere. Because I think that we want to attract as many people as we can to Newman Park without pulling them away from it. And the other thing that we talked about is possibly turning a profit. And so we had the idea at Rattlesnake Roundup, next to the pool, there's typically a lot of food vendors out there on the west side of the pool, kind of on the other side of the little creek or the drainage area. And so this could, provide a place for vendors to be that's covered, and the city could rent it out, but it could just also be in addition to that, so that we could keep people, if they wanted to eat, close to the park, in benches and shade. And so we don't really want to pull away from that.
What's your time frame for this project?
So as of right now, it will kind of depend on mainly the steel structure itself. There's 2 ways that we can go. We can go with prefabricated steel, which means the construction guys just go in and bolt everything together, or we can go with just the raw steel essentially, which means our construction team would have to go in and weld everything up. And so that would take significantly longer, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And depending on the construction company we use, we're also going to have to work around their schedule if this was something that they donated, because obviously if they're giving it for free, they're not going to want to give up a $20 million project. And so as of right now, it's just kind of up in the air, but we're hoping to get it done within the next 6 to 8 months.
Great, thank you.
Do you have a projected cost on how much this is going to take?
I think whenever we talked to Steel Company last week, that was about $40,000. They gave us 10% off, which ended up it's like $35,000. So that part we would have to get donated more than likely. We're having a meeting with Bootsy next week.
We're hoping to meet with Bootsy
This week.
soon. We've been in contact with them about the concrete slab, so if they donate it, obviously that's money that we don't have to spend. And then construction could be valued at maybe about $20,000, but that's honestly a complete guess by us. And so we value this project at about $100,000 to $120,000 in total. And that's if we were to buy all the materials, labor, and everything that goes into that.
We're hoping to be able to get a lot of that donated, because it's kind of hard to raise that kind of money.
Yeah. And so then obviously if we do have to buy a big chunk of it, such as the steel, we're hoping to talk to Georgia Pacific, or there's grant funds in the state of Texas that Ms. Hunt has talked to me about that we could get, and just get that chunk of money to pay for it, instead of trying to raise $40,000 or $50,000 in one go.
We really hope that this is something y'all are willing to let us do for our community. Our ultimate mission is to give back to Sweetwater and overall make it a better place for those who live here. So we want to be able to add to a small part of that mission. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, we'll now move to item 6A, which is discuss, consider, and act upon an ordinance fixing and levying a tax for fiscal year ending 2024-2025. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.506817, which is effectively a 5.45% increase in the tax rate.
Okay. And you seconded it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll have a record vote. Mayor Pro Tem McPherson. 4. Councilman Baker.
4.
Councilman Castro.
4.
Councilwoman Boyle.
4.
And Mayor McKenzie, 4. Now read the ordinance into the record. An ordinance fixing and levying a municipal ad valorem tax for the tax year 2024 at a rate of .506817 per $100 assessed value upon all taxable property within the incorporated limits of the city of Sweetwater, Texas. We'll now move to item 6B, which is discuss, consider, and act upon approval of an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Any questions?
Move we amend the budget.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. An ordinance amending the ordinance approving and adopting a budget for the city of Sweetwater for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024. Okay, we'll now move to item 7, which is to enter into closed session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Governmental Code. Consulting with attorneys.
So moved.
Second.